We'll call the regular meeting of the Upshur County Commission to order. We'll begin with a moment of silent meditation and prayer, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, at this time we'll have the reading of the minutes of the April 18th, 2013 Upshur County Commission meeting.
The County Commission of Upshur County, West Virginia held their regular meeting at the Courthouse Annex on Thursday, April 18, 2013 at 9 a.m. Donnie Tenney called the meeting to order. There were present Donnie Tenney, Commissioner, J.C. Rafferty, Commissioner, Troy Brady, Commissioner, William Parker, County Administrator, Megan Pomeroy, Assistant County Administrator, and Jacqueline Dinklocker, Secretary. The meeting began with a moment of silent meditation and prayer, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. All motions passed unanimously unless otherwise stated. After reading of the minutes on motion by Troy Brady, seconded by J.C. Rafferty, the Commission approved the regular meeting minutes of April 11, 2013 as submitted. Donnie Tenney provided a review of the Fair Housing Resolution, which encourages all citizens to support the practice and policy of fair housing in their personal lives as well as in their workday duties, and to discourage discriminatory housing practices. After discussion on motion by Troy Brady, seconded by J.C. Rafferty, the Commission approved and authorized the President to sign the Fair Housing Resolution, which designates the month of April 2013 as Fair Housing Month in Upshur County. After discussion on motion by Troy Brady, seconded by J.C. Rafferty, the Commission approved the request from Vicki Kelly, President, West Virginia Strawberry Festival Association, Incorporated, to use the plaza area of the courthouse complex from May 11 through May 19, 2013, for entertainment and activities to use picnic tables from the Upshur County Park. After discussion on motion by Troy Brady, seconded by J.C. Rafferty, the Commission approved the request pending documentation of required insurance. Approval of the Upshur County Employee Handbook of Personnel Guidelines was postponed to later in today's meeting. Helen Phillips, assessor, requested to meet with the Commission at 11 a.m. to discuss issues related to the matter. Donnie Tenney reviewed the Upshur County Certificate of Compliance for building permit or floodplain permit pertaining to the Upshur County Building Permit Ordinance and/or the Upshur County Floodplain Ordinance. After discussion on motion by J.C. Rafferty, seconded by Troy Brady, the Commission approved the document. Donnie Tenney provided a review of requests from Debbie Thacker-Wilfong, Upshur County Clerk, concerning the staffing of her office. After discussion on motion by J.C. Rafferty, seconded by Troy Brady, the Commission approved Quayla Bennett, currently part-time Deputy County Clerk, to move into the position of full-time Deputy County Clerk at the rate of $8.87 per hour, effective April 21, 2013. After discussion on motion by Troy Brady, seconded by J.C. Rafferty, the Commission approved Christine Loudon Edwards as part-time Deputy County Clerk at the rate of $8 per hour, effective April 21, 2013, not to exceed 910 hours per year or an average of 17.5 hours per week. After discussion on motion by J.C. Rafferty, second by Donnie Tenney, the Commission approved advertising for the position of part-time Deputy County Clerk, average of 17.5 hours weekly, not to exceed 910 hours per year as submitted. No, Rafferty and Tenney for, Brady against. The Commission reviewed the following for your information items. Number one, correspondence from Nicholas Leftwich Justice Program Specialist regarding receipt of fiscal year 2013 Community Corrections Grant application in the amount of $379,140. Number 2, correspondence from G. Paul Richter, Buchanan River Watershed Association. Gratitude for support of BRWA's Smooth Rock Lick Phase 2 project. Number 3, Upshur County 911 Communications Center reports as listed. Number 4, agendas and/or notices of meetings as listed. Number 5, meeting minutes and/or financial reports as listed. Number 6, meetings as listed. Number 7, appointments needed or upcoming as listed. The commission recessed at 9:40 a.m. The commission reconvened at 10 a.m. David Kaufman, Upshur County Sheriff, appeared before the commission to request approval for employment of a fire fee assistant. On motion by J.C. Rafferty, second by Troy Brady, the commission entered into executive session at 10:05 a.m. for discussion. Present were Donnie Tenney, J.C. Rafferty, Troy Brady, David Kaufman, Sheila Adams, William Parker, and Megan Pomeroy. The commission returned to open session at 11:15 a.m. No decisions were made in executive session. After discussion on motion by J.C. Rafferty, second by Troy Brady, the commission approved the employment of Sharon O'Hearn as fire fee assistant at the rate of $8 per hour effective April 21, 2013. Ms. O'Hearn will work 30 hours per week through May 4th. Thereafter will be employed as full-time fire fee assistant. Sheriff Kaufman introduced Ms. O'Hearn and reviewed her numerous qualifications. At 11:20 a.m., Donnie Tenney opened a public hearing on the Small Cities Block Grant application in the amount of $1,500,000. Shane Whitehair, Region 7 representative, provided an update on Elkins Road Public Service District Water Extension Project. Mr. Whitehair and Greg Belcher, Chapman Technical Group representative, reviewed the project and answered questions from area residents concerning additional and/or upgraded services and the possibility of future rate increases. The project will improve current service, resolve low-pressure problems, increase fire protection service via additional hydrants, add new customers, and add new office and storage facilities. At 11:35 a.m., the public hearing was adjourned. Helen Phillips, assessor, appeared before the commission to discuss her concerns about the Upshur County Employee Handbook of Personnel Guidelines. After discussion, Ms. Phillips submitted her signed acknowledgement and approval of current revisions as discussed during the March 14, 2013 and April 11, 2013 Policy Board meetings. Acknowledgement and approval documents have been received from Policy Board members Jacob Rieger, Prosecuting Attorney, David Kaufman, Sheriff, and Brian Godet, Circuit Clerk. The Commission approved all invoices for payment. The Commission approved all vacation orders. The Commission approved the following settlements as listed. The Commission approved the following requests to attend meetings as listed. The Commission recessed at 12:45 p.m. The Commission reconvened at 1:45 p.m. The Commission discussed the Upshur County Employee Handbook of Personnel Guidelines. The majority of elected officials / Policy Board members have submitted acknowledgement and approval of revisions as outlined and discussed during Policy Board meetings, with the exception of Debbie Thacker Wilfong, Upshur County Clerk. After discussion on motion by J.C. Rafferty, seconded by Troy Brady, the Commission approved and authorized the revisions as outlined. The Commission discussed the Small Cities Block Grant application in the amount of $1,500,000 for the Elk Road Public Service District Water Extension Project. After discussion on motion by J.C. Rafferty, second by Troy Brady, the Commission approved and authorized the President to sign all documents related to the grant application. After discussion on motion by J.C. Rafferty, second by Troy Brady, the Commission approved and authorized the President to sign the agreement between the Division of Culture and History on behalf of Archives and History and on behalf of Records Management and Preservation Board and the Upshur County Commission for a previously submitted grant. Upshur County Sheriff David Kaufman appeared before the commission and presented correspondence concerning personnel issues. William Parker was requested to follow up with scheduling a meeting for discussion on a future agenda. Note, a special meeting has been scheduled for Tuesday, April 23rd, 2013, executive session per West Virginia Code 6-98-4 for discussion of Sheriff Kaufman's concern. With no further business, on motion by J.C. Rafferty, second by Troy Brady, the commission meeting adjourned at 2:15 p.m.
Any additions or corrections to the minutes as read? Not, I'd ask for a motion to be approved as such.
So moved.
Seconded.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. Well, thank you, Jackie. It's 9:15 and we have Andy and Grace Losh, neighborhood dog issues. So, Andy, are you the spokesperson?
I didn't know what it can be.
Okay, step right up to the podium there.
Are these other neighbors sitting with you, Andy? Okay.
I'm just a new kid on Jack Lane. But anyway, there's a dog up there, and the dog has been chasing Donnie, people that goes to your church over there. The dog comes over and barks and growls at the people going into your church. Over here is a school. The dog chases the cars up the street. The people get out of the cars. They go into the school. The dog is standing there barking and growling at them. Your animal control officer has done a very good job. He's been up there numerous times, but it's just like looking for a needle in a haystack. Every time he comes there, he cannot find a dog. So we've talked to the neighbors, and we try to tell the neighbors what is going on. We've been laughed at. We've been told there's no control. There's nothing I can do. Some of these ladies over here are afraid to go out of the yard because a dog comes over to their mailbox. When they're getting the mail, the dog barks and growls at them. Another lady lives right up the street beside them. Every time she goes in the mailbox, she carries a club because a dog comes up, growls, and barks at her. I think it is time that we do something about this matter. Now, your officer was up there, talked to them, and told them to keep the dog on a leash. The next morning, that dog got loose, chased a car over to the church, chased a car up to the school. The people got out of the car. The dog started barking at the people that got out of the car. Yesterday, my granddaughter was in a parking lot. She was leading the dog on the leash. Well, the dog took a lunge and growled and barked at her. Now, I'm here at the county commission, and I'm a neighborhood is too, to get something done. We want to be good neighbors with everybody, but there's a time and a place, and we think that the time has already came when somebody steps in and does something. And we'd appreciate the help of your animal control officer has done a tremendous job. And he went up and talked to the family. What he said, I have no idea, and I really don't care. But we need help. Something's got to be done. And if any of these people here would like to speak, they have 4 dogs.
4 dogs, not just one, but 4.
Yeah.
And they're all loose and all doing the same thing, barking and
Yes.
chasing?
Well, the one has bit the ups man and he and the mail lady, and they are scared to death. The mail lady is scared to death to get out of her car. And the one, I mean, it's just about that big, but it stands about that high, but it is, I mean, it is mean. And we have them on our property. Now, they did have the Doberman on a leash, but the other 3 are free to do whatever.
I know that the Postal Service has the capability that if a dog is dangerous to the postal carrier, they can refuse to deliver mail to that residence. And that may be something in this case that can be one factor that can be taken into consideration, at least in terms of the mail delivery for the safety of the postal delivery person.
Well, the ups man says he's not allowed to do anything. So he just, if it don't bite him, he just has to take it. When he's under anything, they have told him not to do anything. I mean, here we are, we're all close neighbors, you know. There's a law in town that says they have to be on a leash. I realize we're outside the city limits, but why can't there be where they have to be fastened up? Now, that Doberman did lunge at my granddaughter, and I grabbed her and took her inside, and took her out of the, I figured, you know, now I had to be responsible too. So I grabbed her and took her inside and kept her inside until she went home. But what's going to happen if it lunges off the, you know, and gets one of my grandkids? I'm not going to be a happy camper.
Why don't we ask Mike to come up and tell us, Mike, what you've done and
Animal
what
control
yours
officer.
is.
You know.
Let's listen to,
Before we start speaking, you get up in the morning time and you walk out on your back porch and a dog poop on your back porch, anything that you have laying there is carried off. On the other porch, I have it sealed in. They come up and try to get in the other porch, and they scratch and scratch and scratch on the stuff to get in the house, to get in the door. I seen this man shake his head no when he said there's no law that says you can do that. Why if we've signed a complaint that this dog is a vicious dog? If we sign a complaint that this is a vicious dog, what can be done?
Well, let's let Mike, this is our animal control officer, Mike Miller. So Mike, why don't you give us an update on what you've discovered and
Okay.
what the options are?
I had been in search of this dog for over a week. I believe it was Tuesday morning when I talked to you, right? Everybody that I had spoken to in the area, and he was roaming a big area. He was roaming clear into Memorial Park, over in the Tennerton School area, and nobody seemed to know where the dog belonged. So, as he said, it's like looking for a needle in a haystack whenever you've got that. If you go in there and you don't see the dog, you're just driving around for maybe a miracle view of him. But Tuesday, when I found out where he belonged and who he belonged to, I went and talked to Mrs. Lipscomb. She was the only one there. And then while I was there, I talked to her husband, and I explained to them that the dog, there's been several complaints on him. To my knowledge, they only have 3 dogs. That's all I've seen. I've seen 3. But anyhow, that's not the issue. The dog, my interaction with the dog, of course, was at the home, just outside the home and in the house. Come to find out that he's only 8 months old. He's still a puppy, and he's got a lot of puppy in him. Mind you, he's the biggest Doberman I've ever seen. I mean, he's big, and that is an intimidating factor. You know, and when you see that, and your fear mechanism kicks in, that's going to compound any situation with an animal. But nonetheless, you know, the community feels like they're in danger with the dog. So I talked with Mrs. Lipscomb, and she entered into a written contract agreement with me that to keep from licensing the dog as a vicious dog, we were between the two of us stating and agreeing that we have an issue here in the vicious, aggressive dog realm, and that they would keep the dog contained to their property at all times, It would not, if it was outside, it would be on a leash or tied up or in a pen. Well, they don't have a pen. So I have it in writing. I have a copy of it here. And they also were advised that if they broke this, which to me, to my knowledge, this is the first knowledge that I have that they have broken it. Because immediately after, the next day, the dog's loose. They will have to come to the assessor's office, purchase a vicious dog license, and they still will have to keep the dog contained as they would have had to with this agreement.
By purchasing a vicious dog license, one, what is the cost of that license? And two, what restrictions are imposed on the animal if it is identified as a vicious dog?
Okay, the cost of the vicious dog license is $10. And I believe every year when you pay your taxes, you'll have to renew that. So they'll have to do it now, and then July 1st, they'll have to do it again. What restrictions that has is that dog must be contained to their property. I'm not 100% sure if they have to post anything so that any legal trespass, if they are bitten by the dog, then they have a legal right to go after them.
Are they meaning the neighbors? Does the county have any authority to initiate any action on behalf of the neighbors?
Only through the dog law. The next step, if once they get this license and they fail to follow up with all the stipulations of it as keeping it contained, then the dog can be seized. And they can also be fined. And of course, while they are, while they are in possession of the dog, they are legally and liable for any and all damage that dog, if they, want to pursue it.
I think their concern is, though, that that's kind of after the fact.
Yeah, it is after the fact.
Once you're bitten or something like that, it's...
Well, it's sad to say that it's like this, but the law is basically like if you had a stalker problem, there's not a thing that the law could do to keep this person from stalking you until he violated you. So, somebody's going to have to get bit before the law can actually step in and take the dog, other than going through the steps that we are.
Now, is this, so the Doberman is the one that this applies to, and someone made a comment about the Doberman being tied, but then it was loose after that time period? So it's been, has it been one time, or when was it that the dog was...
He was up there one day, and the next morning, the dog was loose, and over, it was right outside the church. He called the dog back, and a car went up the road with kids in it. The dog chased the car up the road. The kids got out of the car. The dog standing there barking at him.
And then that's happened again another day?
That's happened 2 times. That was the day after he was up there.
Okay. Well, then I'd say Mike will go up and talk to them about that. Now, it seems, is there issues with other dogs besides that one?
Yeah, well, there's 3 of them.
I know, but are there issues with the other
Yeah,
dog?
the one bites, the little one. The one that's about this long and that's about this high.
Right.
It bites.
He's the one that's bit
He's the
the
one that bit the UPS.
UPS.
I have a question.
Okay.
You say contained. Would you explain that to me?
Contained in this text means that they have to be restrained to the individual's property. okay? Either by in a fenced-in enclosure, on a tie-out where they're tied up, or on a leash,
She walks-
walking.
She walks
That-
on a leash, all up and down and around.
So my interpretation of this, being where we are now, is that when I say contained, it has to be contained to their property. They can't walk it all around your community. So as Donnie said, I will be going back up since I'm aware that this has happened. I will inform them that they need to go get the vicious license, and I will explain in more detail that they need to keep the dog on their property.
And then what I would, and I'm sure on behalf of Mike, I would ask you all to do is that once they go through that process, if the dog's loose, then call Mike again, then he can take the next step.
Yeah, the next,
Well, if there's-
nobody has ever said anything to me or through any channels to me that there is an issue with any of the other dogs, just the Doberman.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
These are very nice people, and they want to keep everything to themselves. Nobody wants to cause any problem in the neighborhood. Everybody's trying to be neighborly. But as I spoke up, speaking for them, they have talked to me and told me what is going on. So now I have the opportunity to tell you which they didn't have before. So now that's why I'm wanting them to speak
They
up.
didn't have before?
Well, they have before, but they just didn't.
They just didn't know.
They didn't want to be somebody like me.
Yeah, they didn't want to be a stir, huh? Troublemaker. Well,
We're really not trying to cause trouble or anything. But when these ladies here cannot walk to the mailbox without a dog coming and drown them, myself, I can take care of myself. These ladies here, that dog is it's a big dog, and it takes a strong person to hold it.
yeah, trust me.
So,
I think the dog is still in a puppy stage, and a lot of this is getting blowed out of proportion because it's being taken one way, and the dog, is thinking in another way. He's thinking, oh, this is something for me to play with, but yet, in his way, he's coming forth as an aggressive dog, which does not, make any excuses for it. Do any of you think that the other little dog is feeding off of this dog's actions?
It's probably the other way around.
The other way around?
Yes.
Uh,
Yes.
Okay.
I think that was the mail lady, the little brown and the Epsom. And they hate to make deliveries. And Charles has to carry a stick to go get the mail and to put the trash can in.
Well,
I want to know something. If I'm in the state road or on my own property and a dog, the other day would followed me right up on my driveway, I've got my yard fenced on the county dogs, all but the driveway. And he followed me right there, and when I had both knees replaced, and the doctor told me, there's one thing you do not do. You do not run, you do not jump, and you do not fall with them legs. If you fall on those legs, you're in bad trouble. I had to carry a club to go get the mail. I can't go out and walk the road unless I carry a club.
To do your yard work out there.
If I hit that dog and cripple it or kill it, picture stole, I'm going to take care of myself. What happens then?
not a thing. Not a thing, but you must make sure that, if any of this happens, that it's on your property. If it's in his yard, or if it's in the state road, that's not your property. But if he comes on your property and you feel threatened and you end his life or what else, there's not a thing the law can do or anybody else can do against you. You have the right to defend your property and protect it and yourself and any livestock or animals that are there.
But see, that's the point, you've got to put the garbage out and put the mail out. The man stands across the road and watches the dog come right up close enough to bite you, and then he has to do something to get it
He doesn't say anything, the owner. You live right across the street.
Right across the street.
When I was up there the day I talked to Andy, you were mowing, correct? Okay.
Okay, so at this point, Mike will go back up and talk to them, and then Mike can get with you all if there's 3 dogs or 4 dogs, and if the others are causing problems, then Mike will deal with those also.
Yeah.
And then he would ask you all that if, like say this one or any of the others are supposed to be tied up and kept on the property, if they're not, then for you to contact him so he'll have that information available.
Yeah, somebody needs to, let me know which dog the other dog is for sure.
His
Right.
name is Coco.
Coco.
So
I know who Coco is. Yeah.
he knows Coco.
But is there not 6 dogs in that house?
I told you I only saw 3. I saw the Doberman and Coco and one other small one. That's the only 3. Yeah.
White or brown?
White.
Okay.
White, I think.
There's a brown one that wanders the neighborhood.
Did not see it.
Yeah, no, it was out.
Didn't see it. You saw Coco and the white-looking one and the Doberman.
Okay, well, we appreciate your all's concern, and we'll certainly do
Give me
everything
some
we can.
photographic evidence, so I know what I'm dealing with.
Well, we appreciate you all taking time to listen to our complaint. And I want to thank you again. You do a good job. The other thing is just like it's catching a burger. You can get there when you get there. Thank you.
Yeah, you're right.
Okay, well, thank you all for coming in, and stay in contact with Mike. Thank you very much.
Happy birthday again, Andy.
Okay, it's 9:30, and we have James Ferry Jr., Office of Emergency Management Director, Lewis Upshur LEPC request from Barber County to merge.
Morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity
Tim?
to speak with you this morning. I think maybe Mr. Rafferty may have shared some of this with you already, but I've been approached on several occasions by my counterpart in the Emergency Management Office at Barber County about the potential of Barber County merging with the Lewis and Upshur LEPC. Apparently, Barber County's LEPC has been non-functional for quite some time. I did a little bit of research at the state level. I've heard of dual LEPCs. I've never heard of it going beyond that in the past. So I thought this is kind of a unique situation. So I talked to the what the state calls their SARA Title III coordinator, and been advised that yes, it's possible to merge another LEPC. I don't think there's any limit to how many you could have. There's a number of issues that we have to address. One of which is, if this is going to occur, we have to have approval from the commissioners of all 3 commissions involved. I know there's some issues that we have to look at. Some of those things that we've discussed at the LEPC level is, one of the things is our grant funding. We have, for the past, I think, 6 years, applied for 2 grants. One is what they call a HMEP grant, which is a Hazardous Materials Emergency Planning Grant. And that's the grant that has funded all the county plans. Currently, we have about 9 plans, including our emergency operations plan, that these HMEP grants have funded. Currently, that grant for a dual LEPC is $6,000. So the question comes up, if we merge another LEPC, we're going to have somebody else tagging along in the planning process, which is obviously going to increase the cost. So we're being advised through what's called the CERC, the State Emergency Response Commission, and I don't want to bore you with acronyms, but we got to deal with this. that they will most likely, if this proceeds and is approved by the county commission, is approved by the CERC, that they'll probably increase that grant potential to $7,000 or $8,000, which should help cover the cost of the additional county and the planning process. The other grant that we receive routinely is a $2,000, what's called a CERC grant, and that we use that for some of our administrative costs. And they'll probably approve that to go to $3,000, which again sounds somewhat fair. The only other major issue that we have, that I see, is there's a lot of plans that have already been completed, and they're specifically dealing with Lewis and Upshur counties. So a lot of those existing plans will need to be amended, and there's going to be some cost in that. So I think that it would only be fair that Barber County would bear the burden of that additional cost. Now, according to Cindy Hart, who is my counterpart in Barber County, they've discussed this with her county commission, and there seems to be a willingness and an interest in them, providing the funding, whatever is necessary to bring those plans up to date. I don't know at this point what that cost is going to be. I've talked to Jeff Harvey from J&H Consulting, and Jeff has done the majority of the plans that we have through the LEPC grants, and he's trying to come up with a cost to see what it's going to cost to make all these adjustments. I don't see any major downsides to this. Probably the only thing you might want to, that I guess members may consider as a downside, that obviously we're going to have to split up our meetings and we're going to have to spend some time in Barber County. That's a little more travel, but we do travel back and forth between Lewis and Upshur now, so I don't know that that's going to make any difference. I think some of the benefits are going to be that we're going to have more people involved, we're going to have more facilities and businesses involved. I think we're going to continue with what we've tried to do in this region, is develop this regional concept, which we're doing through the Department of Homeland Security. So I think there may be a benefit in that regard. So I don't see any real major issues with it. But as I said, what the state is requiring us to do is, first of all, get the concurrence of the 3 county commissions, then present that to the State Emergency Response Commission, and if we get their approval, then the first thing we do is amend our bylaws, and then we move forward. So I just wanted to get your feeling on this. As I said, I don't see any real downside to it. We seem to have, in the last few years, in the Homeland Security part of it, with us really working together as a region, we've accomplished a lot more, and I'm looking at this as a potential to do the same thing, that we're going to accomplish more and have more people involved and get more things done. So
do you see the first step as Jeff getting some figures together is what the cost, and then make sure that Barber County signs an agreement that they're willing to do that? Correct. And then at that point, then the other commissions. Then I would pursue it with the other 2 commissions. Right. I know Bill Rowan, the Emergency Management Director in Lewis County, I think has approached his commission, and I think their main concern is the cost of bringing everything up to speed so that it does address the fact that it's 3 counties. And so, other than that, I haven't heard any negative for him, but we haven't made really a formal approach. But right. But I'll try and get those numbers from Jeff to find out what it's going to cost just to get some of these other plans up to speed, changing names and a few other things. I don't see that as being a big expense, but I don't think it's fair for the 2 existing counties to bear the burden of that cost if somebody's joining in. But
will the state provide a written documentation relative to the grants that you were talking about that we get between Lewis and Upshur? Will they formalize it in writing, or some procedural methodology where they are basically going on record saying that the additional funding will be there if?
I'm sure they will at some point in time. I know that when the grants come due every year, they certainly say for a single LEPC, the HMEP grant is $5,000. For a dual LEPC, it's $6,000. So I'm sure they're going to make some amendment in their policy that says triple LEPCs are going to get X number of dollars. So I think that if they would raise it at least another $1,000, I would hope 2, because obviously, since Barber County has not been a functional LEPC, they've not been applying for these grants. So there's that pot of money that they haven't been using, so I'm hoping the state will share that, but that's not always the case, as you well know. So, but yes, I'm sure there will be something, there will be a motion has to take place at the CERC level to approve this. And I'm sure that motion, from what I understand and talking to my contact there, is, that'll be a formal motion that they're going to permit this to occur, and this is what the grants are going to be. So.
One other area, as regard to the Homeland Security aspects of the LEPC. Barbara County is a member of the 10-county consortium that we already have established for
Correct.
that purpose. So you've had previous experience working with Barbara County officials in various exercises and whatnot.
Those that are at my level, obviously,
Correct.
yes. And that's been working very well. I think the concept that we've taken in Region 4 and developed this, I guess, close-knit relationship has been extremely beneficial. And I think we've come to recognize, and I think the state has commented positively and many times over the past couple of years of the work that we're accomplishing by being taking this regional approach, because we're all small counties, we're rural counties, we don't have a lot of funding, and if in major events, none of us can stand on our own 2 feet. We don't have the resources, so we have to pool resources, and that's, I think, the major benefit by looking at this regional approach. And I think the same benefit may occur by starting to merge some of the other planning efforts, which would be the LEPC as well.
Thanks.
So we're not all going in different directions.
And I'd say with the funding that we're looking at coming from the federal and state levels, it's going to be more regional than county in a lot of different aspects.
Yeah, fortunately, these are some of the, these are not funded, these grants are not funded by the federal government, so they haven't been attacked by the sequestering or the other things. These are all, the funding that comes from these grants is through the fees that facilities pay to the state as part of the SARE Title III legislation. So I'm hoping that that's not going to be impacted.
Right.
So those grants will continue.
Okay, well.
So if it's all right with you, I'll pursue this, try and get the numbers, talk to the other 2 counties, and then come back and move forward from there.
I think if you feel it's a good thing, I believe that we're in agreement that once you get all that documentation in place and get everything worked out, that I think it'd be a good thing to work together with another county.
Great.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Our next appointment's at 10 o'clock. And we have some items for discussion and possible action. The first one, did someone have a letter on the, you've been involved in that, Megan, on the request for family court personnel regarding locations for the witnesses?
I believe that was through an email from someone on Judge Soa's staff that emailed Willie to inquire about that. I believe that they're having some trouble finding a location to hold witnesses that's separate from the courtroom. So they are looking for other options. There doesn't seem to be a lot of space back there to have a separate waiting area for them. So they're looking for different options, as somewhere to have the witnesses wait, which is
I think they expressed several options that were available. It was a matter for us to come to a decision as to which one would be the best option.
Okay, well, why don't we come back to this,
take
and then we can
consideration of that.
let's go to the next one. Review and consider volunteer for Lewis Upshur Animal Control Facility of Jennifer Allison LaFerry. And I assume this is a recommendation from Jan at the dog pound, so we would, I'd ask for a motion that we approve this request.
So moved.
I'll second it.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Next item is review and consider letter to Brooks Hill Community Center representatives regarding donation request. We had a request for monetary help with their fair, and we have a letter that's been prepared. Basically, I'll just read it. How's that? The Upshur County Commission would like to thank you for taking time to attend our meeting concerning the above referenced project. While the project is worthwhile, the Commission is unable to grant funding at this time. The numerous community buildings throughout Upshur County have many beneficial projects and the need for additional funding. The County Commission is not in a position to fund all such requests. As mentioned during our meeting, representatives from the Brooks Hill Community Center may want to consider requesting funding from our state legislature through the Community Participation Grant Program. As you're aware, the required procedure for funding from this program requires a number of months before the project could commence. If you're interested in exploring this opportunity in more detail, contact Megan Pomeroy with the Office of the County Commission. Again, thank you for your time and interest in providing functions and activities at the Brooks Hill Community Center. That's the letter. What we need to do today is to, are there any questions or comments on the letter or the content or the intent of the letter? If not, then I would ask for a motion that there's places for all three commissioners to sign, that we approve sending this letter in response to that request. Do we have a motion to that effect?
I'll make that motion.
Do you have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Is there any comments? I mean, what we talked about basically, there's, you know, when we started counting, George knows as well as anyone how many different little communities there are in Upshur County. And there's been requests from a lot of them, and there's been a lot of money that's come from the state to help them on little projects, $2,000, $3,000, $5,000. And the consensus was that that there's a lot of little communities around that could use help on their community buildings and et cetera. And that as a result of that, there's not opportunities to help all of them.
I think also during our discussion, I believe you were familiar with the previous grant or previous request that we had funded them, and the amount of, how much was that?
I think it's $38,000 or $39,000 to help to help with that community building. That's been years ago from the Curry Fund, because it was across the road and used for functions. So it's not that they haven't received something already. So if there's nothing else to be said, then I would ask, we've got a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, we have a review and consider volunteer for Community Corrections Day Report Center, Shane R. Shaver. And that's approved by Micah, a request from Micah for that volunteer to help. So do we have a motion to approve that request?
I so move.
I'll second it.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next item is review and consider board member appointment to Adrian Public Service District for a term ending October 31st, 2013. And on page 5, we have a letter from Adrian Public Service District concerning board appointment. The letter says Adrian PSD Board of Directors member Sharon Bowen has passed away recently. It's been a difficult task to find a replacement with Sharon's energy and work ethic. We have spoken with several people in our district who we felt would be good candidates. Most are unwilling to make the commitment. At this time, we have 2 names to submit for your consideration. In order of preference, they are: number 1, Paul Spencer. Paul is a West Virginia native, resides in Kanawha Head area for over 40 years. Paul is retired from Core-Hart Refractories in Buchanan and therefore available to actively serve on our board. Paul is active in other areas of service in the community. Paul has been helpful to us in obtaining sign-up for our upcoming extension project. Second is Kelly Arnold. Kelly is a lifelong resident of Rock Cave. Kelly has worked for the city of Buchanan for 23 years in different areas of water distribution, the water distribution system, and is currently distribution foreman. Kelly has a Class 3 water system operator certification and is a licensed backflow assembly inspector tester. So, according to the letter, their first preference is Paul Spencer, and their second is Kelly Arnold. So, comments?
I know that we normally pay deference to the public service districts and their recommendations, but I can't help but noticing that Mr. Arnold, though he is the second recommendation, has substantial experience in the water department. I know it is for the city of Buchanan, and some may consider that a possible conflict of interest because the city maintains a water facility as well as the fact Adrian purchases its water from the city. Do you have any comment on that, Ron, or what? I know it's kind of asking you this question from.
All I know is that Kelly does a fine job for the city of Buchanan. He knows all the ins and outs of all the locations and everything, even those the public service districts where their tanks and pumps and all that are located. I don't think there will be a conflict of interest. This is not a paid position. It's
Yes, it is.
Is it a paid position?
Yep, yep.
Really?
PSD board members receive a monthly payment.
And I should put my name up here. No, I'm sure they've contacted Kelly, but since it is a paid position, I don't know whether that be a conflict or not. He's not an elected position, so he would do an excellent job. I do not know the other gentleman, but evidently they do, and he's worked long and hard for the public service district and obtaining for them. So basically, no real comment on the issue.
Thank you for that, Ron, and input.
Spoken like a true politician. I just, of course, there could be a conflict with regards to the payment from the city, payment from the public service district to the city employee who.
Why don't we
operates in both.
have Megan to contact the
Yeah.
Public Service Commission and.
The Ethics Commission.
Well,
Does the
also,
public-
the Public Service Commission controls it, and see, they would give some advice and consent, I think, or the Ethics Commission. We'll have to check with both.
Right.
Let's get that answered, and then I think it would be good to contact the public service, or district, the public service district then, but let's get that information first and make sure there's no issue there.
So we can defer that.
We can defer that then, and okay, the next item is review request from the City of Buchanan to establish a time to meet to review matters of interest and/or joint projects between the city and the county. Now, we used to meet every month, every month that had a fifth Thursday. And the city, at one point in time, said they would wish not to do that anymore. And so, Ron, you might give us some input into that.
I understood that, the way I understood it was that the commissioners wanted that last Thursday off because they meet every Thursday anyway. And so they thought they were entitled to a one Thursday without a night meeting or whatever joint meeting.
That's not the case.
We would like to establish a meeting to coordinate activities between the city and the county, because after all, we basically are just one municipality in the county, and jointly we have a lot of projects that we work on, and we'd like to establish another rapport with the commissioners to let our views be known and talk and see what else we can do.
Is the consensus that we go back to the every month, which is basically a quarterly meeting?
It's a quarterly meeting, and if it would be okay with the commissioners, we would like to go back to that fifth Thursday or Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I don't care.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter, but we.
When is the next fifth Thursday?
This month.
In
No,
April or May?
Only 4 in April.
May.
May?
Okay.
Okay. Okay, so the request from the city is that starting in May, the fifth
Sure.
Thursday in May, then we would meet at 7 o'clock, and but I would make it clear that the county commission was not the one that stopped the meetings. It was the mayor that said
Don't take me
that.
on the guy.
Yeah.
That's just
Yeah.
talk. I don't know for sure
Right.
what it was.
Well, the fact is that the county wanted to continue to have them, and the cities that wanted. stop, but we're more than welcome to start them again. That's the main thing, and if May's the...
23rd.
Now, would there be any
23rd.
problem with all three commissioners meeting?
23rd. of 30th.
Not if it's on Thursday, we're still in session.
If it's on a Thursday?
Right. We stay in session until the meeting's over with.
Okay.
Okay? Is that the week of the Strawberry Festival?
Strawberry Festival's the 19th.
Okay, so that's the previous week.
There's nothing to do with that.
Okay.
Okay.
So then, the consensus of the commission, and we continue our meeting every month and has a five Thursdays. Is that an agreement, gentlemen?
I pose no objection.
I see no problem with
Okay,
that.
and we'll go back to that.
That's it. Sir, did you say that was at 5:30?
No, 7.
7, okay. Thank you.
Okay, it's 10 o'clock, and we have Tim Simmons?
Tom Simons.
Tom, I'm sorry.
Sorry.
Got both of them wrong. Tom Simons, Senior Vice President of the WODA Group Incorporated, requesting support for a senior housing development project. Step right up to the podium and tell us what all is going on.
A handout I emailed with.
Thank you, sir.
We have it.
I already have a copy, thank you.
We do, don't we? We're ahead of the game. Okay, go right ahead.
If you'll bear with me 1 second, I'm 44 years old and I still do what my dad said. He said, make sure you tell them that I was the superintendent on the gymnasium in 1973 when they built the new gym over at West Virginia Wesleyan when the governor was the president. I said, all right, Dad, I'll do it. So, I'm born and raised from Clarksburg, went to Fairmont State, but now I work for the WODA Group, and we're out of Westerville, Ohio. The WODA Group, I'm going to do a quick commercial real quick, is Jeff Woda is my cousin. And our grandfather moved to the Ohio Valley back in the 50s and started building single-family homes during the coal mining boom across the river from Wheeling. And over the years, my dad worked for Grandpa, Jeff's dad. Jeff's dad passed away when Jeff was 13. Grandpa passed away when he was 18. He went to college in Bethany College in West Virginia and then was a CPA down in Charleston. And he was sitting there one day and he called my aunt and he said, I know how to build from Dad and Grandpa. That's what I want to do. So in 1993, we built our first multifamily 24-unit apartment community in Parkersburg, just by WVUP on Dutch Ridge. And over the years, we've grown to where we are today. We have over 7,000 units that we own and manage, and 1,300 of those are in West Virginia. We're in Ohio, Pennsylvania, and Kentucky, and the neighboring states. But I know a competitor had been in here earlier, so if I say anything that you already know, I apologize. We're working on an application that is in the early stages through the West Virginia Housing Development Fund for tax credits for a senior community here in Buchanan. The state's going to receive north of 30 applications, and they've got enough funding to fund about 7 or 8 of those, depending on everyone's request. So it's extremely competitive. Part of the process is to try to score as many points as you can, and one of those items is to get support from the highest elected official where your site is located. We've looked at a piece of property and have site control on 5.8 acres across the street from Kroger on 20 South. It's the Craven property, Miles Craven estate there. And what we want to do is we're looking at 40 units. I have up to 48 on here, senior units. It'd be either 2 or 3 story with an elevator, and it would be for those 55 and older. And on the information that I sent in, the tax credit program, you can make up to 60% of area median income. So for seniors, a single could make $22,020 a year, and a couple could make $25,140. The great thing about seniors is they look at your monthly income. They don't look at your asset. So let's say my grandmother's a great example. Before she passed away, she lived in one of our senior communities. She sold the house Grandpa and her had, and she put $100-some thousand in the bank, and she had some money in the bank. They don't look at that. They look at your interest off of that, and then they looked at her Social Security and then grandpa's pension, black lung or whatever. That's what they'd look at, your monthly income. So seniors is calculated a little bit different. It's a wonderful building. Some of the pictures I have attached, it's got a lot of community space for the seniors. I love going to our senior communities because there's always something going on, whether it's a Bible study, a bake, a sampling. They're always having a potluck, Scrabble night, puzzles seem to be a big deal. We actually took a poll in our management company. What would you guys like in our senior communities? And the top 2 items were a pool table and a big screen TV. So in some of them, we even have a game room with a pool table and a TV, and those seem to be very popular. But all the units will have all energy efficient appliances, garbage disposal, dishwasher, washer and dryer included in the unit. There's also a laundry facility in the building, community space, a kitchenette for them to use. There's typically like a little library, a computer area for the seniors. So there's a lot inside the building so they don't have to go out in bad weather, etc., for the seniors. We're looking at about a $6 million investment in the total project cost. And, WODA Construction, Inc. is the contractor. It's our company. But we're more the general contractor, or the superintendent, and we hire as many local trades as possible. If we got funded, as we work through the building permit process, we would call up and say, hey, is there somewhere we could advertise and have a public meeting for a bid day where contractors could come in, pick up the plans, and then take those so that they could do their bidding. Materials, we truly want to be a part of the community. We have property. We're in Elkins, right at the edge of the golf course there. We're all through the state. We have different communities, but so we've looked at Buchanan, and so I wanted to come and see if we could. I'd send in a letter. It's really, we're not asking for any money. It's just support. We know what this is. We support you. Good luck, and it's going to be competitive. So I'll stop there and answer questions.
Well, and this is the same tax credits that the other company that came in earlier vying for.
That's my understanding. Yes.
Right. And
if they ask for a letter of support, it's the same exact program.
Right.
Theirs was a low-income housing, and you are limiting yours to seniors.
Yeah, theirs is family, ours is senior. That's the difference. Yeah, ours is senior, 55 and older.
And 48 units.
Up to.
Up to 40.
Yeah, I put up to because right now we're targeting 40, but let's say we say, hey, let's do 42, then I don't want to have to come back down. That's why I say up to 40.
Right.
And how many of those would be like 2-bedroom or 1-bedroom, or are they all unique? Or
no, I don't have the exact mix yet till we get the final number, but I think we were looking at 31 1-bedrooms and 9 2-bedrooms.
Right.
But we typically do a little bit more. We're waiting on the final market study. We have to hire an independent third-party market analyst to kind of tell us what's going to be a better unit mix. A lot of times we do put more 2-bedrooms because, think of just going home and taking everything you have and moving into a 1-bedroom. You really need the 2nd bedroom. So typically we do more than that, but that's tentatively what we were looking at.
And you're talking about being directly across from Kroger's on Route 20 South.
That's correct, sir.
Okay. Only concern I would have, just off the top of my head as I sit here, is traffic flow. I don't know if there's a concern down there with traffic. I know there was some point they wanted to widen the road at one point, but that did not materialize. But other than that, it's, there's there senior housing in Upshur County already at this point? I don't.
Well, the high-rise.
High-rise is senior.
Manor, yeah. But it's also, isn't it? It's also for disabled people. Also, it's not strictly senior. I think it's more encompassing than that. But there's a lot of seniors that live there. And
just 2 things, so you know. These units will be handicap accessible.
Right.
We will have handicap units set aside, plus the others will be adaptable, easily adapted. Typically in our seniors like this, we will put 50% step-in showers and 50% tubs. That way there is the option. And then the handicaps, the specific designated for handicap would have the roll-in. And then on traffic, we've done a lot of traffic studies in our industry doing this.
Right.
And the traffic movements in a senior community 55 and older are extremely low throughout the whole day. that it really hasn't become an issue. Just so you know, we have looked at that. Not site-specific, but in our other senior communities.
I assume I've seen the examples from your other communities, and they appear to be very beautiful.
Thank you.
They appear to be very nice facilities. I noticed most of them are two-story. Is that your intention here to have?
Yeah, we do 2- and 3-story with an elevator, and the majority of the site is out of the 100-year floodplain. You know, at the tail end there, it goes down towards the creek there, but so some of it is. So if we had to pinch it up, we would go up an extra story, but I think we're thinking 2-story would go better in the neighborhood there. But
brick facing.
Yeah, I tell you, the state, the West Virginia Housing Development Fund, does a good job. There's different things for points, and you know, if you score high enough, you're going to get funded. So 60% brick is a point item. Obviously, they want brick, we want brick, so we go for that point. So all the developers are going to do that. But you know, it's important to us because we own all of our properties that we've developed. We manage it. Our name is on the sign. If there's a problem, you call us at our main office, and we address it. Obviously, senior is different than family. I don't want to say never, but there's never a problem with our senior communities. But it's very important long term. You know, we own these. These are our communities, and we're very proud of them. So you learn as you go throughout the years. Not to bore you, but early years we would do vinyl. You know, and then about a year into it, you notice that your maintenance guy is taking the weed eater across the bottom of your vinyl, and you're just like, you know, what are we doing? So you learn throughout the year. So exterior maintenance free. We do cement siding on the hardy plank on some of them also. So it's usually a mixture of brick, stone, and hardy. Some vinyl. There would be, you know, there's always vinyl, but at least 60% brick on this.
Okay. Ron, you have a question?
What's the time limit from start of construction to occupancy?
These are 2013 tax credits that we are applying for. Applications are due May 31st. The state will announce who wins funding in August. From that point, when they say, okay, you've been awarded, you have until December 31st, 2015 to get your certificate of occupancy from the state. So what we're thinking is if we get funded in August, we would immediately go into final full-blown plans and do the permitting process, hopefully to be permitted by the end of the year, take down the property, and then start construction in the spring of 14 to be done. If something happens, then you have some more time. Extremely bad winter, you know, something, but you have a 2-year period to be completed with construction. But once we apply in at the end of the next month, we would know in August if we got funding or not. Sure.
Okay, any other questions?
I believe in the past when you issued the letter of support, it was just that, a letter of support that did not provide any special consideration to either party, yourself or the other party. That's that we already provided.
Right, yeah, I'm not asking you to pick one. That's correct.
It'll be their
It's not fair.
decision based on the criteria and the...
Yep, they rank them for the points and make sure you meet the threshold criteria, and if you get kicked out for, you know,
Of course, there's a possibility both of you could get, as you say, there's going to be 7, or do they restrict it only to one?
No, it's straightly based on score, and since we're two different, since it's family and senior, they could fund both in Upshur County, so it's possible.
Okay, so then based on that, if there's no other questions, then I'd ask for a motion that we approve the request for our blessing from the County Commission on this project. Do we have a motion to that effect?
So moved.
I'll second it.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Our next scheduled appointment's in 17 minutes, so we have a couple more items here. We wanted to get the word out. Region 7 Planning Development Council has a strategic broadband plan. They've been contracted by the state of West Virginia to do a survey as far as where...
Excuse me just a second. I'll be right. I'm just getting a calendar thing.
Okay. and basically, if you're in an area that you don't have high-speed internet, or you don't have as high speed as you'd like, then we can get copies. Do we have a copy of that? Do we have you can go online and fill out the survey, and we need, thank you very much. But we need a few more. I think you need 300 in order to get a good survey. You need like 360, and there's like 300 surveys that's been turned in. So we'd encourage, if you would, and maybe this will help if they see what the needs are out in the areas where there's not broadband. Then I would very much encourage you to fill one of these out. And you go online, or we have some hard copies, I believe. So.
I can make some hard copies if you'd like. The email address is included in the agenda on page 6. So they have a little blurb there, and then the, I'm sorry, not the email address, the web address is there,
Okay.
where you can go and.
So we would encourage you to fill that out. And we have correspondence from West Virginia Classic Wheels Car Club regarding the Blast from the Past event and funding request. Jerry, are you the spokesperson for that group?
Not necessarily.
Would you like to be? Well, why don't you step up there and I think we have a letter.
Copy you can read, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't have anything to read you, but we're looking for your all's blessings. Even if there's some money available, we could use that too. But,
There might be a bridge too far.
the 26th and 27th of July, the Main Street will be blocked off. And on Friday evening, from I believe it's 5 o'clock until 10 o'clock, we will have a cruise in, and there will be some vendors down on Spring Street and in that part of the town. Also on Saturday, we're having a car show on Main Street, and of course we're going to have a rod run, it's what we call it. We're going to take anybody that participates in this to the game farm, and we'll have a barbecue dinner for them. And then we'll come back and line our cars up on Main Street approximately 3 to 3:30 and have a car show and just everybody get together. That's what it
Good time of
amounts to.
I think it's important that our discussions in the past, that some of the money that's raised from these car show does go to charitable causes.
Yes, everything that we earn or make above what our budget is goes to take care of buying car seats for newborns. Also, with every family that leaves the hospital with a newborn child, will also leave there with a smoke detector. And we are working with the, I can't think of it's the ladies of the hospital, the volunteers.
Auxiliary.
Yeah. We're working together and to do this. And then if we have anything left over above that at the end of the year, it goes towards anybody in the county or any of the surrounding counties that have, say their homes have burnt or they have a child that is having problems, medical problems. This goes towards their medical expenses or home expenses.
Right.
Everything it's left over, it goes to use like that. So
Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Okay, and the blessings are immediately forthcoming, and we'll consider the financial request.
thank you.
Okay, and we have correspondence from St. Gobain regarding notice of mass layoff. Corehart Refractories wishes to advise you of planned layoffs to occur at the company's facility at 87 Corehart Road, Buchanan, West Virginia. Based on information presently available, the layoffs will not be permanent. The information provided in this notice is based on the best information presently available to the company. The layoffs will affect approximately 64 employees, with the earliest layoffs effective July the 1st, 2013. So that's, it goes on to talk about the rest of it, but that's basically, there's a requirement there to notify of mass layoffs, and that's, you know, that's happened, I think, about annually over the last 2 or 3 years, because Corehart's, it depends on their orders, and when sometimes they're totally swamped, and then sometimes when orders are down, they have to lay off, and sometimes they're very temporary, but they have to notify us and the city, and so that's that notice, and that looks like we've got 10 minutes till. Go ahead.
Do you have any idea how many employees they have altogether?
I think it's somewhere around 150. I mean, I'm just guessing, but 150 to 200. They don't have the number they used to have.
So they're not shutting down the facility?
Oh, no.
For a temporary time?
No, they're still operating.
Yeah, seasonal.
Right.
One thing I'd like to bring to your attention for just information, I received a communication yesterday from, I believe it was the Chamber of Commerce, that there is a meeting this evening at Buchanan Upshur Middle School, put on by the Board of Education for school safety. The public is invited. It starts at 6 o'clock for any public officials or others that are interested in that particular issue.
Okay. Well, let's take a recess then till 10. Debbie has something? Go ahead, Debbie. I see your hand there.
I didn't get this till yesterday, so I didn't get it on the agenda, but here's a copy of it. I contacted the Fair Labor Board, and her name was Barbara Gandy. When I was talking to one of the other clerks, she told me to contact her because they had been in Marshall County. And what I did was send her a question about payroll. And her response was, sending payroll checks through the mail is actually a normal practice. However, it is responsibility of the employer to make sure the employees receive their wages in a timely manner. If the employee did not request their checks be mailed, then the commission needs to understand that they have assumed the responsibility of making sure the checks are delivered on payday. That means if a check is lost or late, an immediate replacement check would be required to avoid the assessment of a penalty for paying late wages, liquidated damages. All the employee would need to do is file a complaint in master court for the damages, and the commission could be responsible for paying that individual 3 times the amount of gross wages represented on that late check. So, when I got this yesterday evening there, I thought about, and in order to avoid taxpayers extra cost, today I'm going to let the employees that actually work in the office pick up their paychecks that work in the courthouse. The ones that are off the premises, I'm going to contact them and notify, and every employee that has mailed a paycheck, I need something in writing from them if they would like their paycheck mailed to them. Otherwise, the county's could be liable if they don't get their paycheck till Saturday or Monday or Tuesday of the following week. And I know of the instance that happened here a couple of weeks ago. Paycheck was mailed, went out through our office. It accidentally, like it sometimes happens, the check came back in the mail the next morning and didn't have no postage on it. So that person would have had a late paycheck if I wouldn't have contacted them and had them, and the county could have been responsible and liable for 3 times the amount of their salary.
Did they say what constitutes, how many days constitutes a late paycheck? I didn't see any definition of that.
The definition is here, if they don't receive it on that payday, whatever day our pay period is.
So it would have to be mailed. In other words, all those she's saying all those paychecks would have to be processed 2 or 3 days before
They
everybody
would have
else
to
is.
receive them by on Friday. And there's no guarantee they're gonna receive them on Friday. Even
So-
if they mailed out today, there's no guarantee they're going to receive them on Friday. So I'm going to, this pay period, which is today, because I got this such late notice yesterday, in order to save taxpayers money, let them pick up their paychecks.
But if it's direct deposit, normally the deposit is noted in your account the day before payday, so that the funds are guaranteed to be in your checking account or savings account, wherever, the day of pay.
And then anybody that wants their paycheck mailed to them, I need something with a written request in writing, so that the county isn't liable for it if their check is mailed, if they want their check.
How many do we
mailed,
have now that are
I
not
think there's
direct?
about 7.
7 that are not direct deposited?
I think you have the checks there. I signed them here yesterday. Okay?
So
Thank you.
Those would be available then on payday to be picked up?
Their checks will be available, they're available Friday morning for them to pick up, yes. That means they'd have to be out in our office Thursday, so we can process them and get them in their paychecks and an envelope for them on Friday.
So will the policy be that the individual who's the paychecks to will be the one that picks it up? Or how will that would be the only thing, what if I ask someone else to pick my paycheck up, then how are you going to handle that?
Either that person can pick them up, or they can have someone designated to pick them up, or I can actually take them to that office, to the person in charge of the elected official, and let them be responsible for it. We've done it both ways in the past.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we've got 5 minutes now. Let's take a 5-minute break. Are you ready? Okay. It's 10:30 and we have Steve Linger, E911 Director, and Dirk Burnside, Office of Emergency Management, radio communication issues, and proposal from Emergitech on paging software. Welcome, gentlemen. Step right up.
Since there are 2 separate issues there,
Okay.
Mr. Burnside's involved with the first issue. He, historically, in the southern end of the county, we have had radio issues for the fire department since time started, I think, first radio, due to the elevations and topography of the area. And Dirk has come up with a solution that would help in that regard, and also in getting rid of the DC controlled telephone line that we use from our station to the substation on Florida Avenue, which is always a concern in any bad storm. Both bad storms last year, it went out.
That's related to an issue that the fire chief, Tacey, has with regards to...
Yes.
Okay.
He uses that same line to communicate with, it's branched off there at the Florida Street substation. And so we've been looking for any kind of solution that we could to take care of that telephone line, as well as improve communications in the south end of the county. And we have been working hard in that regard. And I'd like Mr. Burnside to talk about some of the new equipment that has been installed in the south end of the county and some solutions to these problems.
Okay.
So I'd like to ask him to come up and share
his knowledge.
The podium. Yes.
Morning, Dirk.
Which is not in dispute.
Good morning. As Mr. Linger indicated, there has been some concern about the, one issue was the loss of the telephone line control with the Tolmansville Fire Base Station. The couple of times that were mentioned were, of course, the 2 bad storms that we had. I think that firstly we need to understand that while it's not unusual to have as obvious failure in a telephone line during times of these storms, we have it at our houses, you know, it happens. We need to realize that those 2 times that it failed were 2 times that were almost by themselves. They haven't had any major disturbances in those phone lines before or since. Yes, it does happen. We have to also realize that no matter what we do, nothing is foolproof. You know, we're just, not even us. Even Donnie's not foolproof, you know, so.
That may come as a shock, but I do agree with you.
Yeah, you know.
I do agree with you.
You know, there's the old saying, the only time that something doesn't go wrong is if you don't do anything.
That's right.
And
It may still go wrong.
Yeah. So anyway, no matter what we do, we can attempt to make things perfect, but we can't. As a matter of normal procedures within the public safety community, we try to do away with commercial phone line controls of remote controlled systems as best we can. And where we can't always do it.
Why is that, Dirk? Is it because they're less dependable than other methods, or?
Well, because we have more control over how it is maintained. In other words, if that phone line goes down, we have to call the phone company. The phone company has to send a person out at whatever priority level that they deem necessary, at whatever resource level, whether they have anybody available or not, and so on and so forth. If we have a means of remotely controlling that system that is dependent solely upon ourselves, then we determine how quickly we can get somebody else to take care of whatever that problem is. And I know in my business that I have, that's what I strive to do. Understanding, of course, you can't always do that. There's times where those means are not available and you have to rely upon commercial phone services or whatever other to do that. The other issue that we're talking about is the fire base station in the southern part of the county, which is presently, as you know, on the tower at the game farm. There's a rumor that that tower is going to come down and that the DNR's equipment may go away from there, and that's probably a good thing. Number one is there's no generator power there. If the power goes off, we have to do the best we can to get a portable generator up there and then maintain somebody to put gas in the tank and so on and so forth. Not a good situation. As I indicated at a previous meeting, the Cleveland Mountain Tower site that the statewide interoperable radio system has installed is there in operation. The tower's been there now for a couple of years and it's sticking up there, and you can see it pretty well when the leaves aren't on because of the way the road winds through there. But anyway, that is available. Now, the problem still arises is if we put a base station there, how do we control that remotely from here at the comm center and elsewhere? And there are different ways to do that, and one of which is I have talked with 3W Logic and with the state of West Virginia, and there exists right now a microwave link between the 911 center and the tower at the water tank above Hebner Cemetery that MicroLogic uses. It goes then from there to Shawnee Terrace Apartments to another tower, and then it goes from there to Tolmansville to the same tower that the fire department radio is on. So right now, there's a possibility for a microwave link to control that base station from the 911 center. And in the discussions with the people at Micrologic, it will cost the county nothing. That same link can also go to the Tolmansville Tower and then hop on the state microwave system and pop out and back out on Cleveland Mountain. And doing that link, we can then, if we would want to, control the a fire transmitter at the Cleveland Mountain Tower should we decide we would want to move the base station from the game farm to the Cleveland Mountain site.
Would there be an expense from Tolmansville to Cleveland Mountain?
No. No expense. So that link would cost the county nothing to do that. I think there's been some discussions within the fire community about where exactly to move the base station to, and I highly recommend that you do that with the Cleveland Mountain site. Firstly, the height above average terrain, which is a main factor in determining radio coverage, is better, much better at Cleveland Mountain. And secondly, you have no utilities, you have a tower that's already there, you have a building that's already there to enclose your equipment, and there's also a emergency generator automatically comes on that's there also. Now, I'm sure that there needs to be an agreement between the county and the state, and it would be, I'm sure, a good neighbor policy or to do something like you do with Tolmansville, and whenever the need would arise to maybe put some propane in the generator if you would want it to occupy the Cleveland Mountain site. And, you know, I think that would be good. But I highly recommend that the fire department radio be moved there to provide better coverage and serve the people and the firemen there in the southern part of the county much better. Now, there's another way to control that station down there, and one that the fire department people are wanting to use. They want to install a high band repeater that would be attached to the low band base station and
at Cleveland Mountain.
At Cleveland Mountain, and control that in that manner. The interoperable radio project is also something that could be used by the fire departments in the southern part of the county, and in the northern part of the county too, as far as that goes. But you know, like I say, there's different options that needs to be a decision made upon how you want to do it. A decision made for sure as to where and if you want to move the radio from the game farm to Cleveland Mountain or another location. Several decisions need to be made, and as far as I've ever been able to determine, there's been no short or long-term plan ever established as to what direction we're going with communications and improving it within the county, and so I guess it's all in your hands of what direction you want to take.
Well, now, the way you hesitated there, it sounded to me like, is there a concern with fire departments using the interoperable radio system? Is that what I detected there in your pause of your conversation? Or?
Well, there's the interoperable radio project is being adopted daily by various departments across the state of West Virginia as their main means of communications. Counties that have low funding resources sometimes are a little bit lagging behind other counties in doing so, because the cost of the radio equipment that goes in each of the vehicles and the portables and so on are obviously more expensive because the technology is much more advanced. So therefore, the funding stream that allows the fire departments that might want to make use of those resources is not very good. On the other hand, the money that might be spent in putting in new equipment at tower sites doesn't need to happen, because the state maintains the interoperable equipment. There's no money involved, nothing, no expense in the tower sites for departments, whether it be fire, EMS, or law enforcement, to maintain, because that's all taken care of by the state. And
The main expense then being the equipment itself.
Right.
The radios themselves.
Right, at the tower sites, maintaining the tower, keeping the lights running, the generator on, all that is generally by the partners that exist within the interoperable radio project, which Upshur County is a partner, as many other counties are in the state. So when you say that there's hesitation, it's mostly because of the money involved in replacing all the existing old radios that the fire departments have in their fire trucks with the new equipment. But also, they got a lot of volunteers running around out there with radios in their equipment, in their personal vehicles, that if they completely drop the old system, then they would become useless. Now, there are ways to coexist the two for a while, so you can gradually phase out the old and phase in the new and all that kind of thing, which can technically be worked out, and I'm sure financially also. One of the other problems with the interoperable radio project and the Siren network that it has developed is that it's P25 format, trunked, and paging cannot occur on that. Your fire department members are running around with little pagers on their sides, and they get notified when there's a fire somewhere, and they can rapidly respond to that location. Well, that cannot happen on the Siren network, so another means of doing so must exist. So if you would go the high band repeater route, then you could also do the paging on the high band repeater, phasing out the low band pagers that they have, and like I say, it's so complicated and so convoluted and so many directions you can take that, for us to stand here and talk about it, we could do so for 3 days and probably get confused and that kind of thing. And where I would think that a more appropriate thing would be to get people together and make a decision with a plan to proceed forward and take that route, rather than me stand here and get everybody all confused and
piecemeal it.
Yeah, so.
Well, it's my understanding, Jim can correct me if I'm wrong, but or you can correct me, either one of you can correct me. I thought the plan was from the state with the interoperable that was the premier type of communication. What
the state's looking for is to provide every public safety agency in the state with a means to have up-to-date, technically excellent communication.
Right.
Now, doesn't mean they necessarily have to get rid of their old one, but they want you to have it available to you, and you can make use of it. The sheriff in Upshur County uses it. Upshur OEM uses it.
Do any of the fire departments use it?
The Buchanan Fire Department is using it some to interoperate with some. Of course, that was its primary uses for interoperability.
Right.
And we're now getting some into the Board of Education, so we can work with them. And Emergency Medical Services has a few of them. They like it tremendously. So yes, the scope, the idea of the whole thing was to provide a system for everybody, whether they choose to use it and make use of it. Well, that's up to them.
So everyone could communicate. And didn't this come out of 9/11, that was part of the problem, that they couldn't communicate between departments and different agencies?
Yeah, a lot of the the difficulty with 9/11. If Mr. Farrell was here, he could probably tell you more about it than I can, as he was there, but the systems were so disparate that it was so complicated to talk amongst each other that nobody knew exactly how.
Right.
So what this does is provide a more simplified means to be able to, when you choose to talk to another entity, then you can select an easy route to do that.
So if you had a radio at each entity, whether it's a fire department, and you're saying law enforcement has it, EMS has it, so, and don't you have some radios, Jim? Wasn't there?
What we've done over the past couple of years, with some of the regional grants that we were involved in over the years, when there was a little funding left over, we always made sure that we all got 1 or 2 portable radios or 1 or 2 mobile radios. We had the opportunity, I think twice now, with Dirk's help, learned about the possibility that there may be some equipment available if we asked the right people, and we took advantage of that, and we're able to get more equipment at no cost. And we've shared as much of that as we can. We're at the point now where we don't have any left. And what we did initially was we said, as agencies in the county become NIMS compliant, we're going to give them equipment. EMS jumped on board. 2 of the fire companies jumped on board with that. The hospital did. The schools did. So we started sharing some of those radios, but unfortunately, we don't have any more. And so we don't have any more to share. So those first come, first served, the ones that were compliant got radios. I think the ones will tell you, EMS especially, and I think the sheriff will tell you that they're now communicating very well in areas they could never communicate before. Rick Campbell is just thrilled to death with the system because he can talk where they could never talk before.
Well, I have some exposure to that interoperable system from my previous.
So I guess we're at the point now where our regional grants have pretty much gone away because they were federal grants, and they've dried up. I'll probably be chastised by some of my fire department buddies for saying what I'm going to say, what I'm going to say. The only option I think that they have left at this point, funding-wise, is through the volunteer fire grants. They all like to buy new trucks and new equipment, and that's great. But I think they've got to look at communication as the big issue. That's why we're all here right now. And I think that that's a good use of that money maybe in the future, is to take some of that volunteer fire grant money and apply for additional communications, which would be the P25 compliant siren radio network equipment. That's one way they could get it. You know, I don't know, there may be some others, but I know federal money wise, if your equipment is not P25 compliant, you will not get any federal money or any federal funding.
And that's because the federal money's funneled through the state. The state approves that, and any grant money, any money that is approved by the state has to be the siren network. It has to be. They will not approve a grant coming through the state that is for anything else.
Can I ask you to do me a favor?
Yes, sir.
For the benefit of the press, for the benefit of the public, for the benefit of those on the viewing screen, could you explain in succinct detail what the siren network is? Or what its purpose is to accomplish?
The West Virginia Interoperable Radio Project was started several years ago by 3 counties in north central West Virginia to provide an up-to-date means for not only the public safety people within each county to talk to each other and amongst themselves, but also for those 3 counties which occupy a main part of the corridor of I-79 to be able to interoperate together because of their need to respond to incidents that happen up and down I-79. From that, the state of West Virginia got involved and saw what kind of benefit it had to that region of the state and decided to jump on board and be a participant in the project. That project has grown to throughout the state of West Virginia, and they have developed with the Interoperable Radio Project what has come to be known as the West Virginia statewide, and I say statewide because it's not a state network, it's a statewide interoperable radio network that is made up of individual counties and state agencies working together, city governments and so forth, to provide this network of communications for the benefit of the public safety agency to provide help to the public.
It's possible that a fire department in Martinsburg, for an example, if it chose to, had the right frequencies, could communicate with the fire department or hazardous materials specialist in Clarksburg or in Charleston to get information on a rapid means. Is that correct?
That is correct. And more importantly, if we would have let's take the same scenario, if we would have a hazardous materials spill here in Upshur County, obviously we don't have the resources to make a large-scale response to that. Therefore, resources coming from throughout the state of West Virginia would have to come in here and respond to that to help us with that situation. All of those responding agencies, whether they could be coming from Charleston, Beckley, Martinsburg, Parkersburg, wherever, who are participants in the system, would be upon their arrival instantly able to coordinate and network with the rest of the responders here and provide that mitigation and to the situation at hand.
Not only works with regards to fire or hazardous material, would work for law enforcement, emergency services across the board.
That is correct.
Any need for communication? Maybe we could trade some routers for radiation.
I was thinking the same thing.
Just a thought, Dirk. You can check that out if you want to. Okay, well, we appreciate your input there. You've given us a lot of information, but...
Well, I mean, and what I hinted at there a couple times was that people that have some technical knowledge need to sit down and look at all this and provide more of a direction for somebody to make a decision.
Could I make a request along those lines? Could you and Steve, Jim, get together and set a time and date for us to do that? To sit down with you, and I think it'd be important to have the fire departments involved too, because when I go out to the various fire departments, one of the major concerns always expressed to me is inability to receive information from the comm center. And of course, suggestions come in from everyone. I'm a layman. I'm not familiar with all the technology, but some of the issues are observations that a layman would make would be that the tower at the comm center is too small. It doesn't rise above a certain level, therefore it's going to obviously impact negatively on communications. There are other things that are commonly indicated as problems that seem to not be able to be overcome. You've addressed some of those problems today, and I think that's part of the start of solution, is to address the issues, what the alternatives are to get those resolved. Because I know it's, again, nothing more important, and I think that any of the commissioners up here in the past have said it, there's nothing more important function of government than public safety. And I think if those individuals like yourselves who have the expertise in that could put together a timeline, a meeting where you can give us these recommendations, I believe I can speak for three of us, that we, and maybe the city government would also be involved in getting together and discussing the issues and coming up to a common solution.
Jim, go ahead.
If I could, I think we're extremely fortunate to have a resident expert. I mean, Dirk does this, runs a statewide system for Department of Highways. He knows what he's doing. He's extremely well respected in his field. And to have that benefit, I think we need to take advantage of that. And I think your suggestion is great. We've attempted to do that in the past. I just hope that some of the people who think they know radios and don't know radios will let somebody who does know the radio, how they work and how they should work, benefit us and get this moving. Because we've been doing this 5 or 6 years that I've been involved, and we're still at the same spot. And we need to move forward.
I've been making suggestions for 5 or 6 years, and nobody's taken that has the responsibility and has the power, or whatever you want to call it, influence to do it, has authority to proceed, has taken the bull by the horns and moved. You know, I'm here to make suggestions and guide, but I can't make your decisions for you. Unless you tell me to make a decision. If you tell me to make a decision, I'll do her.
Well, the problem is, it sounds like on the interoperable radio that you've got a lot of players that are involved, but some of the fire departments are not on board. And I don't know, what do the radios cost?
The mobile radios are down somewhere in, what, the $1,500 to $2,000?
You can get them now right at $1,000 a piece for the mobile radios. Handhelds are about the same. You know, and of course, you know, that's what they were 20 years ago for a normal one, but you know, it's or more.
I remember when walkie-talkies were pretty close then. Ron?
If this is a pressing issue and you want to get this to City Council before the end of May meeting, and I suggest perhaps that Jim and Dirk get an appointment to meet with City Council. Our next meeting is next week. Call down and get on the agenda, and let Council be willing to work with you on this project, I'm sure.
Well, it sounds to me like what you're saying, the city is on board with the interoperable.
The city, whenever we built the tower at Tolmansville, the city was a partner in that project and helped us get that interoperable site there. I spoke at length with Mayor Davison at the time, and I also spoke at the City Council. Of course, that's been 3 or 4 years ago now, and you know, whatever it takes to get things moving, I'll be glad to do.
But does the city police, do they participate in the interoperable?
They are participating.
The Buchanan Fire Department does? I mean, they have radio.
Yeah, they have. Yes, they do. Yeah.
We've given them, I think,
2 or 3
mobiles, and I've given Mitch 4 portable radios to play with, so to speak, and they're on board. Okay. They realize how valuable the system is.
They weren't in the beginning, but once they got hold of the equipment and they used it and found out what it could do, then their eyes were opened. And
I think the only thing I'll mention in respect to the fire departments, one of their concerns, and there is some validity to it, as is using one of the siren radio, portable radios, as to take it in an interior fire attack. It's not really all that practical because it's a much larger, more cumbersome radio, and that's not what its intent is for anyway. So they can still use what they call their legacy system, their old low-band portable, to communicate at the scene. The siren system gives them that chance to get out and talk to not only other agencies, but to travel and talk long distance if necessary. So
Rick, do you have a question?
Not a cure-all.
Yeah, just a suggestion to the commission, and I understand the importance of all the communications, particularly after our last 2 disasters, and the importance of having it. The other thing is, though, couldn't you formally form a committee, perhaps Mr. Burnside as the chairman, to pull all of these entities together, something in writing as that plan of attack on these different systems, and then submit that to you to do with, and actually have something formally in writing to move on with, as opposed to the discussions that have been going on for quite some time regarding these systems?
Well, I think, you know, basically, my understanding is that you're going to have fire departments that don't use it, apparently have a reason that they don't. I mean, that seems to me like that's the central issue here. If everyone's on board except some of the volunteer fire departments, why would they not want to pay $1,000 to get a portable radio so that they can have communications outside their realm of their fire department. What would be the reason for that? You said you've had discussions. I was just curious as to what the reason would be that they wouldn't want to spend $1,000 to have those radio.
Well, I don't know that they have the $1,000 or you know, what their priority of their spending resources is. You know, I don't know that.
Right.
But you know, when they're buying a radio now for $200 and then you want them to pay $1,000, you know, that's a little bit beyond what they're normally expected to happen.
Right.
So.
But if there's grant money, like you said, available.
Well, there was.
Yeah.
At one time, there was. I mean, I can't, you know, grant money's disappearing. Grant money goes down as our
expenses go
Debt
up.
goes up.
Yeah.
Debt goes up. Yeah.
Right.
They would need a radio in every fire truck. So some
installed radio.
houses have 8 units or more in each station, you know.
But even if they had one, if there was some kind of a mass situation, at least they would have one place they could go and communicate and have a command post and have that radio there. And then they could communicate with their people through their regular radio
Well,
system.
one thing that I'll say, that, you know, if the Upshur County Commission makes a determination, and they say that the way that they're going to provide for the 911 center dispatch fire departments is with this system, then I don't see where the fire departments have any other recourse as to go that direction also.
But you try always to use cooperative means to because these are volunteers, they are people giving their own time and effort, you know, for the community. So I think you have to try to walk a fine line in order to accomplish that.
I think you have, the way you've talked.
Yeah.
I think you've tried that. Well,
let Mr. Linger know what you want me to do.
Okay.
And I'll just do whatever I can to help.
well, we appreciate your help, Dirk.
Thank you very much, Dirk.
Okay, Steve, let's...
Okay, and part of also the recent fire department requests, we have been looking into the text paging capability, not the two-way type page that will be coming in about 3 to 4 years probably from the FCC, where we will have to be able to receive text messages and graphic images. Anybody could take a picture of an accident scene on their telephone and send it to us. These type of things are coming down, but several counties, some of the larger ones, have the ability for the 911 center to send out a text to cell phones, especially the new smartphones, where we could push a button, have programmed in all their telephones and send them a text message telling them where the call is and the type of call and a couple lines of directions on how to get there.
That's sort of like what happened as a result of Virginia Tech.
Yes.
The colleges have instituted similar thing for learning students if there's a reason to stay in your dormitory or whatever.
So we've looked into some of the ones being used, and Emergitech has this system. I had forwarded, I don't know if you have that PageGate.
We have it.
Yeah. And this is a system that's used, they just installed in Lewis County through their Emergitech system also. They also, some of the local fire departments have another system that doesn't quite do what we need it to do. But let me describe this system for you. What it is it's on our CAD computer. If we needed to send 3 fire companies, 3 stations, to a structure fire, what we could do is push 3 buttons on our dispatch console, and it would send a text message to those 3, everyone that was registered with us from those 3 companies, a text message telling where, what, and what the type of fire was. And we could use it for EMS to do the same thing for them. And it's currently being used in Lewis EMS. They just got it. I saw it in action, and it's a very effective system.
Do law enforcement also be involved as well?
They could, but I was thinking more of like SWAT teams and things like that that would need to be called up at a minute's notice. just send them a text message to call into comm center. We have details for you. So it can be used with several agencies that we have. And I don't know if you have a copy of the cost there.
Right.
The first year investment would be $3,605 with a yearly maintenance of $242 currently to take care of this. And basically it's just an interface to our CAD with this PageGate software that would be installed. It does take a little bit of maintenance every time everybody changes a cell phone number or loses a cell phone and has to get a new one with a different number. So there is a little bit of maintenance involved. And the fire companies or EMS would have to routinely send us that information to update their file. But of the two systems, it's much better. The other one, eDispatches, actually records the second page out that we give.